Pesachim Daf Chavtes. Today's email comes from Kalman Walkenstein's wife, who Yosef Biliak met Kalman while he was shopping in Osherad a year and a half ago, and he convinced him to join the shir. His wife says, "I've seen a total switch in my husband's learning since he has started with R Eli. They just had made an aliyah from Melbourne, Australia, and is the best thing that ever happened to him. And happy birthday, Kalman. May you continue to go strongly in learning with R Eli. Love the wife and the children." I also want to say Shalom Aleichem to Tzvi Kimmel, whose David addressed his friend from Staten Island, New York. So yesterday we were discussing the famous Mishnah. Chametz Shavar Lava Pesach. You have chametz that existed throughout Pesach. If it was in the possession of the guy, then it's mutar b'hana after Pesach. And if it was in the possession of the Jew, it's also b'hana. And we brought down a three-way machlokes. Who does our Mishnah go according to? Rabbi Yehuda holds that there's an Isser Hana on chametz even before Pesach. From the time that there's a Chiv Sreifa, Biur, from the 6th hour on, there's an Isser Hana. Through Pesach, there's an Isser Kares, and after Pesach, it continues to be an Isser Deiraisa. Reb Shimon holds, no, the Isser Hana is only on Pesach itself. There's no Isser before, and there's no Isser after. Rabbi Yossi Aglili holds that you could benefit from chametz even on Pesach itself. So who does our Mishnah go according to? Rava says, and that's the Maskana, that our Mishnah goes according to Reb Shimon, that there's an Isser Hana on Pesach, but no Isser Hana after Pesach. So if there's no Isser Hana after Pesach, why is it also for a Jew to benefit from it? It's a special knas that Chachamim gave you because you were over on Bal Yirah. They punished you, they penalized you, and they said you cannot benefit from this chametz. Rav Acher Bar Yaakov in the Havamina says an amazing chiddush. He says this Mishnah of Chametz Shavar Lava Pesach goes according to Rabbi Yehuda. In fact, Rabbi Yehuda holds that if it belongs, this chametz belongs to a guy, not only can you benefit from it, you could actually eat chametz on Pesach. You could eat pizza on Pesach if it belongs to a guy. An amazing chiddush. He learns it from a drasha, sa'ar, just like the chiyuv of re'iyah. When you have chametz in your possession, if it belongs to you, you're over, but if it belongs to the guy, you're not over. So achila also, if it belongs to the guy, you're not over. Unfortunately, Rav Acher Bar Yaakov retracted his shita. Otherwise, we'd be able to eat pizza today. How do we know that he retracted his shita? There's a brisa that discusses, what about chametz that belongs to the Beis Hamikdash? It's hegdish. And you eat it on Pesach. In addition to the Isser of chametz, are you over on Me'ilah? Did you take something from the Beis Hamikdash? Or perhaps it doesn't have any value, you didn't take anything. This is machlokes. Rav Acher Bar Yaakov says, I'll explain to you what the machlokes is. Machlokes is, do we pass it like Rabbi Yehuda, that there's an Isser Hana from before Pesach all the way after Pesach as well? Or do we pass it like Rabbi Shimon, that there's no Isser Hana on chametz after Pesach? But when he says that there's an Isser Hana according to Rabbi Yehuda after Pesach, meaning on Pesach there's certainly Isser Hana. So you see that he retracted his shita. And now let's continue with the other explanations in the brisa. What is the machlokes if you're moyel from, if you use chametz that belongs to hegdish or not? Rabbi Nechunya ben Akana says, according to Rabbi Yochanan, there's a concept called kamle b'derabimnei. If you're over on an extreme isser that has a big chiyuv like misa, then you're not chayiv for the lesser thing. So by chametz, since you're over on chametz, you're over kares, because you did it b'mezid, you knew that it's chametz, therefore you are potter for the shogeg of mi'ilah, the much lesser einish. Rav Yosef says that we are going in the shita of Rav Yossi Haglili, that there's no Isser Hana even on Pesach itself. And the machlokes is whether or not you can redeem hegdish in order to feed it to a dog or a non-Jew. If you can redeem it for a dog, then it has value. And if you cannot redeem it for a dog, then it doesn't have value and you wouldn't be over on Me'ilah. A second lashon in Rav Yosef, he's going in the shita of Reb Shimon that there's no Isser Hana after Pesach, but there's an Isser Hana on Pesach itself. And according to everybody, you cannot redeem hegdish in order to feed it to a guy and a dog. In other words, right now, it has zero value. And the machlokes is a brand new concept. Do we say goyrim, davar ha-goyrim l'mamin k'mamin dami? If in the future something has value, do we value it right now today or not? If not, then there's no me'ilah. If yes, then you are moyel. And finally, Rav Ashi says that according to everybody, davar ha-goyrim l'mamin, lav k'mamin dami doesn't have value today. You cannot be paided and give it to a dog. It doesn't have value today. The machlokes is, do we pass like Rabbi Yossi Haglili that you're permitted to benefit from chametz on Pesach, or are we passing like Rabbi Yehuda or Rabbi Shimon that you're not permitted to benefit? And now we are going into the famous sugya of ta'aroivas, mixture of foods, and that has very much to do with chametz. Is chametz different than all other isurim in the Torah? So Rav and Shmuel say all isurim in the Torah, when it comes to min v'minoi, it's the same item. You're taking chametz flour and mixing it in with non-chametz flour. Then the halacha is b'mashu. Even if you cannot taste it at all, it will never be batal. Why? Because you can't differentiate between the two. However, shaloi b'mino, you take flour and mix it with meat, then the flour has to add a flavor, it has to be benois and tam. Only then is it also. So Rav says, if we're dealing with Pesach itself, on Pesach, then if you have a very small amount of, let's say, flour, then even if shaloi b'mino, let's say you mix it with meat, it's also also. Now, typically, throughout the Torah, all these Surim Torah, this wouldn't be a problem. But Rav says Pesach is different. Since Pesach is a chiyuv of kares, and people are not very careful about Pesach because all year round they eat chametz. Therefore, we had to be geyser that if you put a mashuhu of a min shaloi b'mino, it should be asur because min b'mino is asur. After Pesach, Rav holds like Rabbi Yehuda, and therefore there's an Isra Hana according to Rabbi Yehuda after Pesach. So only b'minoi is asur b'mashu, but shaloi b'minoi is like all the other Yisurim in the Torah that shaloi b'minoi b'mashu is not asur. It has to give a flavor. Shmuel says on Pesach itself we don't make any gzeros. Therefore, only min b'minoi, if it's a b'mashu, you can't really taste it, is asur. Shaloi b'minoi is mutter like every other is in the Torah. We're not making gzeros. And after Pesach, everything is mutter. Why? Because Shmuel holds like Rabbi Shimon. But after Pesach, there's no Isra Hana. Rabbi Yochanan comes along and says differently. He says all these from the Torah, it doesn't matter if it's min b'minoi or min b'she'eni b'minoi, they're all dependent on nois and tam. Could you taste it or not? Therefore, on Pesach itself, if you put a mashu, a small amount, into the food, you take a little bit of chametz flour, put into the food, it's mutter because it's dependent on nois and tam. And after Pesach, even if you could taste the flavor, it's completely mutter. Why? Because he holds like Reb Shimon that after Pesach, it's mutter b'ana. Have a wonderful day.